Hello, this is a project by Jonathan Bailey and Christopher Tubia. Here we see a painting by artist Anton Pavlovich Lysenko. It is called Zeus and Thetis and was created in 1769. It is on loan to us from the Russian State Museum in St. Petersburg. It represents the scene in Book 1 when Thetis goes to beg Zeus to talk to Hera. A significant passage in this scene is: Jove sat for a while silent and without a word, but Thetis still kept firm hold of his knees, and besought him for a second time. "Incline your head," said she, "and promise me surely, or else deny me, for you have nothing to fear, that I might learn how greatly you disdain me." Here we see a painted amphora created by Exechius in 6 BC. It is called the Black-Figured Amphora, and it is on loan to us from the British Museum in London. It shows a scene of the Amazon woman coming to help King Priamos and can be found in Book 2 of the Iliad, specifically in Homer's passage that reads, "That day the Amazon woman came, men's equals." Shown here is a plate painted by Francesco Zonto Avili in 1534. The painting depicts the fateful moment when Helen is abducted on a ship by Paris in Book 3 of the Iliad. The name of the plate is Plate with the Abduction of Helen, and it is also on loan to us from the Getty Museum. A quote that reflects Helen's capture is, "Argives fly home to their own land over the broad sea and leave Priam and the Trojans the glory of still keeping Helen." This is a sculpture of Aphrodite holding the golden apple Paris awarded her for winning a beauty contest. It is said to have been created between 150 and 200 BC. It is named Aphrodite, but its artist is unknown. The sculpture is on loan to us from the Getty Museum and depicts Book 3 of the Iliad, and a quote which describes the judgment of Paris is, "A day came, and this Paris judged beneath the trees 3 crowns of life, 3 diverse goddesses." The Fright of Astyanax by Benjamin West, drawn in pen on paper in 1797, is on loan to us from the Getty Villa. It depicts Hector preparing to leave for battle. Meanwhile, his son and wife weep at the loss of the head of their household. This scene takes place in Book 4 of the Iliad. A quote reads, "Hector smiled as he looked upon the boy, but he did not speak, and Andromache stood by him, weeping and taking his hand in her own." This is a terracotta pot made in about 500 BC and is on loan to us from the Getty Villa. It depicts a Greek hero like Achilles or Ajax matched against an unknown Trojan warrior. Although the creator is unknown, we can still identify that this scene is possibly intended to be from Book 5 of the Iliad, when Ajax fights Amphius. Quote, "Ajax struck him in the belt. The spear pierced the lower part of his belly, and he fell heavily to the ground." This 1st to 5th century BC pot depicts the scene in Book 6 of the Iliad where Hector must say goodbye to his wife Andromache before he enters battle. It is referred to as Hector and Andromache, but its artist is unknown. It is kindly on loan to us from the Getty Museum. A quote from the scene reads, "He did not find Andromache, for she was on the wall with her child and one of her maids, weeping bitterly." This statue, on loan to us from the Getty Museum, is called Chimera of Arezzo. The Chimera is a monster from Greek mythology. It is seen in Books 6 and 22 of the Iliad, particularly the passage, "The Chimera, a raging monster, divine, inhuman, a lion in front, a serpent behind, a goat between, and breathing fire. Bellerophon killed her, trusting signs from the god. Its time and artist are unknown, but it is believed that many artists together made this statue." This terracotta pot, named Storage Jar with Diomedes and Odysseus, attributed to the inscription painter and loaned by the Getty Villa, portrays the Book 10 scene of the Greek hero Odysseus slitting the throat of a Thracian warrior. On the back of the vase, Diomedes grabs the sleeping Rhaesos. This vase is the only depiction of the murder of Rhaesos in the archaic period. About 540 BC, a passage, quote, "Diomedes struck him in the middle of the neck with the sword. Rhesus was sleeping. Ulysses from some way off saw him and killed him." This is a pot by Brygos, created in 490 BC. It is commonly referred to as Briseis and Phoenix, but displays the scene where Hecamede mixes a solution for Nestor in Book 11 of the Iliad. The quote reads, "Fair Hecamede, whom Nestor had awarded to him from Tenedos when Achilles took it, mixed them a mess. She was daughter of wise Arsinus, and the Achaeans had given her to Nestor because he excelled all of them in counsel." It is on loan to us from the Louvre Museum. Displayed here is a wine cup made with terracotta, produced by Hunt Painter around 530 BC. It is referred to as the wine cup with an eagle battling a snake. An eagle with a snake in its mouth flew over the Trojans immediately before they began battle, which was considered by them to be a bad omen. The piece is on loan from the Getty Museum and depicts Book 12 of the Iliad. The particular passage reads, "A bird sign appeared to them, flying high and holding to the left, and carrying in its talons a gigantic snake, blood-colored, alive still, and breathing. It had not forgotten its warcraft yet, for writhing back it struck the eagle that held it by the chest and neck, so that the eagle let it drop groundward in pain of the bite, and dashed it down the midst of the battle in itself, screaming high, winged away down the wind's blast." This is an engraving by Diana Scultori, and it is commonly referred to as Achilles bearing the body of Patroclus. The date of this artwork has been placed somewhere between 1570 and 1612, and it is on loan to us from the British Museum in London. The engraving depicts the death of Patroclus, which is in Book 16 of the Iliad. The passage of the book reads, "Pant and sweat as they bore the body of Patroclus." This sketch is commonly known as a scene from the Iliad, and was drawn by Michael Martin Drolling in 1815. It is on loan from the Met Museum and depicts the scene in which the women are crying over the dead body of Patroclus in Book 18 of the Iliad. The specific passage depicting the scene is, "In such wise did she cry aloud amid her tears, and the woman joined her in her lament." Presented is a glass and gold ring made by an unknown artist in about 50 AD, and loaned to us by the Getty Villa. It is named Achilles dragging Hector's body. This scene takes place in Book 22 when Achilles has killed Hector. Achilles then ties Hector by the legs to his chariot and parades around the camp dragging Hector's dead body as a sign of victory. Thus he made the body fast to the chariot. The dust rose from Hector as he was being dragged along. Shown here is a fresco painting created in 1538 called Achilles Dragging the Body of Hector Round on His Chariot, detail from the ceiling of Sala de Troia, and it is by Giulio Romano. It is on loan to us from the Palazzo Ducula in Mantua, Italy. It reflects Book 22 of the Iliad in the passage that reads as follows. "The dust rose from Hector as he was being dragged along. His dark hair flew all abroad, and his head once so comely was laid down low on earth. For Jove had now delivered him into the hands of his foes to do him outrage in his own land." This wall painting of two boys boxing depicts a boxing match at the funeral games of Patroclus, which can be found in Book 23 of the Iliad, particularly the passage, "In boxing I overcame Clytomedes, son of Enops." It was discovered as a wall painting of Thera and has decayed, resulting in it having to be pieced together by what it is believed to have looked like. The name of this work is commonly referred to as Boxing Boys, and its author is unknown, as well as its time period. It has been generously loaned to us from the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. Above is a painting of a scene in Book 24 of the Iliad, specifically when Priam begs Achilles for Hector's body back. This painting is even titled King Priam Begging Achilles for the Return of Hector's Body, and is on loan to us from the Tretyakov Gallery in Moscow. It was painted by Alexander Andreevich Ivanov in 1824. A quote that describes the scene reads, "The two wept bitterly, Priam as he lay at Achilles' feet, weeping for Hector, and Achilles now for his father and now for Patroclus, till the house was filled with their lamentation." Named marble relief fragment with census from the Trojan War, a marble tablet made in about 50 BC by Julio Claudian and loaned by the Getty Villa. The tablet depicts numerous scenes of the Iliad, all parts of the Trojan War. Each scene can be identified with a passage from the Iliad. For example, the central one on the left side of the tablet depicts the capture of Troy, responding as such. The Trojans assemble together. They found it hard to recognize each individual dead man, but with water they washed away the blood that was on them. As they wept warm tears, they lifted them out onto wagons. But great Priam would not let them cry out, and in silence they piled the bodies upon the pyre, with their hearts in sorrow, and burned them upon the fire, and went back to the sacred lion. Thank you for watching our presentation.